So we're discussing over here that even if a person learns Torah, but if he is his dibur and he doesn't speak truthfully, that's the bris of general the bris of the loshin of the tongue. So then he misses out from the kalo. There's a kol. There's no hay. There is no. There's missing Hashem. Godliness is missing there. So now, what is the way to correct that? We're talking about Shuvah here. Gimel. What is the advice that's given to this? Behold, the pasuk says, that's from the Ashrei. You give them their food in a timely way. What does it mean? The Eibishter Shehu Yizborech HaNoisen U'Me'orer Milmailo Libes B'nei Odom. Hashem is the one that gives Noisen Lohem, give them their food. He arouses, he wakes up the hearts of people. In a timely way. What does it mean? The Eibishter gives him at his time. Every person has a time, has an hour that the Eibishter gives it to him. Be'ito in his time, gives him that his others. There is no person that doesn't have a time. Everybody has an opportunity. There's that. The time that you have is the time of davening. That's the time you have. That is called Chaye Shah. We call, when we compare Torah to Tefillah, Tefillah is called Chaye Olam. Torah. And Tefillah is called Chaye Shah because we ask for Gashmis, for physical. But he teaches the word Shah, Shuhumeloshin Shah, that he turned Chaye Shah, Shuhumeloshin Bayishal Hevel, Loshen Bayifen. He turned to Hevel. Sheyesh Chaye Shah, it's the life of Shah that you can turn. Loshen Bayifen, you have an opportunity to turn. Sheyesh Beyicholis Kolodom Lahafnis Ritzoyna Lahipuch Mamash. Every person has the opportunity to turn his desire to the opposite mamash. That is be'ita. You have a time, the time of davening, you can switch yourself around. So that is the meaning of however, this love, fear and love that comes from above, we have to ask Rachmim, we have to ask compassion by Hashem Rachmanis to get that level of the Eibishter gives it to us. And this is why the pasuk says, so that means all eyes to you look forward. So meaning this is the rachamim that we're asking from Hashem, so that he should be about to Nisam Sachlam B'itoi. What does it mean? Einei koil. Einei koil, the eyes of all. What is the eyes? The eyes are situated in your head, which is above your heart. Which means that even if it's not in your heart, but above your heart, Pirush bechinas einayim shehem l'mayla mehalev hamashgichim bay. Those are the eyes that are higher than the heart that supervise it. Al derech mashikosuv divra maschil ki korem elacha adover beinyan. This talks about the Bechira coming for the Ava. So the Einayim Eilecho Yisabelu. Einei Koil Eilecho Yisabelu Shu Inyan is Oider's Bechinas Rachamim Rabbi. That is the through the arousal of Rachamim Rabbim, of great compassion. So the Eine Koilmin is with a higher level. Those are the ones that are bringing out these Oiris Rachamim Rabbim. Yaheynu. She is boinen, that is through the reflection. How he is drawn, comes from a very high place. He is bechinas kurkudas primis alev. He is the Eibishter's primis alev. Bechinas, as we said before, levav tani achoisi kalo. So you come from such a great place, and it descended. Whoa, such great descent. It's a great rachmanos. So this is the Einei Choil Elochi Saberu, that this Madrega ask and elicit this Rachamim Rabbim Yisaberu, and that comes through the realization, the great descent that took place from where the neshama comes from, and where it's not. What a big Rachmanis it is. In Iksiv, the pasuk further says there, Soymech Hashem l'chol ha'neiflim, v'zoykev l'chol ha'kfufim. God supports all those that fall, and He stands up all those that are bent. The pasuk says, in other words, you have people who are doing the regular things, but they're doing it in a way that they're falling. You could do the gashmis, the necessary things, in a way that it doesn't really affect you. You're doing it because you have to do it. But then you have a madrega that you become neuflim. You become attached to what you're doing. You become to the gashmis, and you fall down to the gashmis. The pasuk says, it says you should, the effort of your hands that you will eat. Or another pasuk says, with the sweat of your brow. In other words, these are external effort, the hainu, which means yigias basar beloy leiv. It's an effort. You put an effort of your flesh, but your heart is not in it. But not to preoccupy your mind, your brain, your seichel in worldly matter. However, one who occupies in the worldly matters, and he invests in it, his entire brain, his entire intellect, he knew made it chabad shalei. So that what he's doing is he's becoming a neiflim, because he bends down his brains very low. Now, what happens when somebody bends his head? If you bend too far, you're going to fall down, and you're going to totally fall down. So the person starts off by bending his head. So then he's compared like a person who bends his head. And from bending the head, he can even fall more. What does it mean? From there can come also questions about the emunah. The head is the intellect. The emunah is what stabilizes you. That's the feet. So when a person starts to fall with his head, which means he brings down his head into the gashmis matters of the world, so then his feet can start falling too. He starts to fall with his feet. He starts getting sveiks and bechinas raglayim. K'moshe kosu, the pasuk says, "Hamadato b'merchav ragla. You stationed in a wide place my feet. That means when you're stable with your amuna, that's meaning that your feet are stationary, stable. But if you have questions in your amuna, then hu noifel mimokoim raglov. Then he falls from the place that his feet are. Feet is supposed to be stationary, strong in his amuna. He starts faltering. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't have feet at all. He's just, his feet is not in place. He has feet because Yidden themselves are believers. That's what we say, you're falling, you're moving from your place, but you still have those feet. In other words, you have an inherent emunah, you have, but you're falling because of the sveikis. Ein bezoyer parshas vayishlach daf kuf ayin aleph aleph ube parshas Breshis daf ches reish amud aleph. So that is soymech Hashem l'chol haneflim. Chol haneflim means those that fall. They fall first because their attachment to the Gashmis, so they fall, their head falls. And then on top of that, then their feet start to fall. That's the Sveikas and Amunah. In the Kol B'chinas Eilu, Soymech Hashem. Hashem supports Soymech Hashem l'chol. Einech lecho yisabeiru v'ato neisen lohem es ochlom be'itoi. So dafke al yidei she'einech lecho yisabeiru. If the eyes of all will reach out to Hashem, then you give them. From above it extends. The 13 measures of compassion, they are called the 13 rivers of the pure Tohir, the aparsimona dachya. Of the aparsimon is a kind of a fruit. But those are the 13 rivers of aparsimon dachya. This is by way of an example. Just like the river draws, goes and expands. Likewise, these 13 attributes of they come from a very high and a supreme place until they come always down. That's why they're naharim. But aparsimona dachya, of pure aparsim, the water is like pure. These are called purifying water. Water pure. Why? These you'd give them mitzrachim, they wash away the sins. Herev kapseni ma'avoini. It's like herev means harbe, like without the hay. The pasuk actually, the ksiv is harbe. Herev kapseni ma'avoini. That means clean me a lot from my sin. That's the you'd give them mitzrachim. They wash away the sins. Just like the river that flows. Where does he come from? Comes from a well, and from there streams the river. Likewise, these 13 attributes, they come from a source of living water, which is Beta Amika de Kula Ein Sobaruchu. Stima the kol stimen. It's a deep boil, a deep well, which is entirely that's the source, that's the well, and from there comes the Yud Gimel Mitzrach. Stima the kol stimen. Vayikra El Moshe. So, Poiseach es yodecha. So we cite it yodecha al tikra yodecha elo yudecha, not your hands yodecha, but yudecha your yud. What does it mean? Open up the yuds. Yuds is tziptzum sheniftochim b'chinas yudin. That the level of yudin are opened up. The yud nashum moker. The yud is the source, the point from where the flow comes from, the moker. They open up. Shu moker hanoiveya shu mukshe'enei musik. It's a source from the flow which is deep, which is not understood. That's a level of a yud. The lochein nikra b'shem yud. That's what it's called, a yud. So when we do Psech Sedecho ve'oz, masbia l'chol chai rotze. Then is masbia l'chol chai rotze. Pirush. So it's chol mokum sheyesh l'chol chai. L'chol mokum sheyesh b'chayis. If there is at least a little bit of an energy, there's a little bit of chayis, even if it has a lot, it's l'kol chai. You have to have a little chayis. Masbia. Then the Eibishter is masbia, satisfied. Umamshich b'chinas rotzei b'chinas ma'im terim anal. Then he brings down l'chol chai rotzei, the level of rotzei, to b'chinas ma'im terim anal, which is the level of the ma'im terim to clean. Basically, if the person turns to Hashem, then the Eibishter opens up the Yudin. As long as there's a place of kol chai, there's a level of chayis, then he gives him the level of rotzin, the rotzin in the Yud Gimel Tzrach. Shanim shochim bebchinas raiva dechol raiva. They come from the level of rotzin of all rotzinis. The hidden, the rotzin, that is the rotzin for the rotzin. Zo inyan yixayenu. And this is what we say, yexayenu. So we say, give us life. Kinyan peseach l'chol chai. Just like peseach l'chol chai. Then, umebchinas hayudi nimshach umispashid. Bchinas hey. So the yud turns into like the level yud k vav k. From the yud becomes a level of k, a level of hey. Liyes Bchinas kol, bchinas kala. To become again kala, because before we learned that the hay was taken away because of the pagam habris, because of the lack of the person's following, becoming a kala connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the level of a kala becomes a level of kol. So is masbia lakoil to the kol, as the kol becomes the level of kala. I mashakos parsh b'midbar d'vra maschil ve'irastich li be'inyan libi ubsori iranu chulu ainsho. That's one inyan of Peseach es Yedacha. But Yuvam be'inyan psicha the Yudin. First we understand the opening of the Yudin. So here we say opening the Yudin means the source to become a K, to be mamshich, to take away from the stim of the chostimim to bring hamshach. Another idea of psicha Yudin, shayud iba yoisei b'chinas helem, even though it's a level of a helem, it should shine like a hay. So, derech shenes bar lekam d'vra maschil, yemesh min atzeres gabei, ani hayom l'tichon. V'ayim hashikosu me'inyan u'mayim bebeis Hashem yitzei. Yitzei. You have two times the word yitzei, right? Yeah. I'm not sure. So, I think he wants to stress that the ma'ayin will go out. It'll open up that the same ma'ayin will go out. It's not that there will be a hisgalus from the ma'ayin. The ma'ayin will go out. And how does this level open up? That comes from a hamshocha from very high that opens up the level of Yud. Possibly we can say it's also the hint in the Pasuk Anil Doideli. Elu. It has the first letter is Elu, but the last letters is Yud. 4 Yuds. Rosh Tevis, Sefer Tevis, Dalad Yud. Then you have the 4 Yuds. Anil Doideli, they're all Yuds at the end. Hanusha'oz ha'oras psicha the Yudin. That's the shine that Yudin open up. So that's why we have all those Yudin over there. The Ayin b'shara Yechudim perik Zayin or Mishnat Chasidim. Anyway, so back to the inside. So the Eibishter gives the Rotzit, gives the Mayim Tahirim, gives Yudam Shochev. So then. And then you can turn to Hashem with the level of the inner of the heart, from the depth of the heart. He gives everybody the rotzen. So rotzen, pirush. The Eibishter gives everybody the rotzen, meaning he gives you the uso de liba, he gives you the desire of the heart. And we're talking about the kuda, the liba, pnimius liba. We're talking about the point of the heart, the inner of the heart, liyes, lavaya, levade, just to be to Hashem, kitomer, like we said before, a tomer and yishlo irak, levechad only has one heart from the Gemara quoted. And like the water reflects, which means Mesiras Nefesh, the poil mamish. Literally, Mesiras Nefesh, because you have that level of the rotzin to Hashem, and therefore you're ready to Mesiras Nefesh mamish. This is the depth, from the depth. And the depth is a plural, mimamakim krosicha. Loshon Rabbi, the hainu mimukoir chaya chayim. The depth of the depth, meaning that is the well deeper than everything. Omek halev is the inner of the heart. You've given me the heart of Chizkala. So Yuchaliyas Ponim Ponim, there should be the level of Ponim Ponim. By Mashkosukai, Gavna the Pirush Shaftam Chulum Nainesh, Chulum in Mayone. Over there it says Mayone is today is to Ein Shom. Dalam. Shoch is Bechinas. This bringing down of Rachmim Rabim comes from above. You can't reach this through Surus Latato. Even though we said before the you need to have the in order to get the Achol. But in the level of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the higher level does not come from the Serusa de Latato. V'zohu, Bayoim Hashlishi Yikimenu V'nichya Lefonov. The first days of Rosh Hashanah, that's a level that you can reach through Serusa de Latato. But on the third, he will Yikimenu V'nichya lefonim. Eibishter will sustain us, and then we'll live. That comes milmaylo. And lefonim means b'chinas ponim anal, to be able to reach to the level of ponim. The pnimius, that is milmaylo. We can't reach that with our service. When we talk about yחיינו מיומימים, מיומימים יש להם יחיינו בחיnas סבב כולם מעל כולם, because that is the two is סבב כולם מעל כולם. Before he said פנימיס וחיצוניס Rosh Hashanah, the פנימיס הלב וחיצוניס הלב, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, but he's saying סבב כולם מעל כולם. I must cause a biur הפוסק ויצלם רבי ששויים יום יום והם המאירים בשני יום טוב של ראש השנה. הבחינה ביום השלישי זהו בחינה של למעלה גם בבחינה סבב כל העלמין. It's even higher still. הוא המאיר ביום הכיפורים שנקרא שבת הבוסר. פעם מה שקוס בדבר המסחל אני לדיידי וגבי והחזירנו בשוב השלם לפניך וזהו, and this is what it means וניחיה לפניו. Because that is lefonecho, that's lefonov, that's higher than Seviv Kulam and Malaklam. That's a level of lefonov in a much higher level. That's Yom Kippur. But Yom HaShlishi, you can remember v'nichya lefonov, that's lefonov. V'ayim HaShekosuv, the biur, aposik achra v'akechem t'leichem b'inyan gimel pam kodesh. Oh, there is 3 times Kodesh, just like here we're talking about 3 days. 2 days of Rosh Hashanah in Kippur. Shom Yuvin Inyan, but Yom HaShlishi also understand Yom HaShlishi. Ba'im Bidro Zutro, Dafresh B'chesov of Dalef, Telas Roshin Inu. Said there's 3 heads. So we talk about 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. But over there it says there are 3 Rosh Hashanahs, because B'Emerson, Yom Kippur is also called Rosh Hashanah. Yeshlema, we can say Shlo Beis Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah. Those are the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Shekol Echad Nikra Rosh. Each one is called Rosh. And the highest level, Zo Yom Kippurim. Shenikra Gam Ke Rosh Hashanah. It's also referred to as Rosh Hashanah in Yecheskel Rosh Simen Mem. In the Pirush Sefer Chassidim Simen Rosh Ches uBetoisves in the Dorim Daf Chav Gimel. I think that's what the Samach stands for. I'm not sure. But in Toysut, I'm not sure what Divrei Maschel Matoivu Binyan Gimel B'chinas Sheyesh B'Tshuva. Over there he discusses there's 3 levels of Tshuva. Ha'alef Liyisur Merah. Number 1 is to stay away Sur Merah. Habez, the second thing is B'chinas Vasei Toiv. Do good. And Hagimel is Binyan Esek HaTorah. That is occupation of Torah. That corresponds to the 3 levels of Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. Ba'im Beitzchain Sharach Aracham Piperik Dalet of Heim B'chinas Naran Chulu. In the Matan Torah, Gamkein, Ksiv Gamkein, so that is the Yom HaShlishi. Matan Torah Ksiv Gamkein, by Yom HaShlishi, by Yom HaShlishi. V'chein Yom HaKippurim, Shehu B'chinas B'Yom HaShlishi, because we said B'Yom HaShlishi Nichya Lefonov, it's like Matan Torah, because Nitnu B'Luchas Achreinos, that's when the second Luchas are given. So it's also similar to Matan Torah. V'ayim B'Rabbis, V'yer Reish Parshat Nevos HaPosik, B'Yom HaShlishi, V'yisav Romas Ein V'chulu. So over there too, he explains the Shlishi over there. U'Be'ester Soif Perek V'yomer Lo HaMelech. So Parshat Yomer Lo HaMelech, V'yom HaShlishi over there too, it's also V'yom HaShlishi. Maloch Esther. Hine B'Pirush V'nichya Lefonov, meaning Yuvan Oid Al Derech Ma Shekosu Biur HaPosik Hikashamayim HaChadoshim V'inyan Emdim Lefonai Tomid Einshom. The Mamer explains that as well. Zeh Derech Ma Shekosu Ramaz the Parshas Tiso Davkuf Peches Omed Beis. And there, Vihine in Sofik Lord Bepnim School Einshom. Einshom Bepirish, Kum Besuras Yisrael, where he teaches Kum Besuras Yisrael. Well, there is a Yukum Gamkin Inyan Yukimenu. So he's referencing all those to explain the Yukimenu of Nichya. By Mashkoz Biura Posik, Yoinosi, Beinyan Kumiloch, or Beinyan Hareini Esmarecha. Kulu. Ayin Bezoyer Chelikala, Vaychid there's Lamizayim Beis Al Posik, Mi Yukimenu, Kimodod Omrud is like you say, Mi Yirpaloch, Mi Yikimenu, Mi Yirpaloch. The Mi is going to Yikimenu. Uhu Ihu Alma Ilah, and that's He of the Supreme World. I'm a Shikosu Aposik Adnai Mi Yamid, Hashem Mi Yamid, Bebiur Aposik Va'ato Yigdal. All right. So he says that basically what is going to be the level of ponim, in a way of ponim beponim. So he says, Hainu al yidei ki v'neido nirdefo l'das Hashem. We will know and we will go after the das Hashem to know Hashem. Kishachar nochin moitzoy, just like the dawn who comes out. Vayova kigesh lon will come like rain chulu. This is all the pasuk in Hosea. V'neido nirdefo l'das Hashem representing that. He's going to explain in a minute, but first it has what it means through, that's a level of meditation, reflection. But first, again, he has the parentheses. In the Gemara, this Pasuk said, it just tells you where this Pasuk is mentioned. In Perikamo the Brachas, Davomet Beis, Perikamo the Tainis, Davdal and Dalus, Uberabes Parshas Tovei, Ubishira Shirim Bepasuk, Simani Kechesem, Ubezayar Chelik Gimel Beparshas Vayikra, Dav Chof Aleph Omed Beis, Beparshas Nosi Dav Chof Ches Aleph, V'ayin Shom Reish Parshas Lach Dav Chof Novov Beis, Al Posik Yodaito, Hashachar B'Koyim Ayin Shom, V'ayin Shom Reish Parshas Truma Dav Chof Zayin Omed Beis, Al Posik Hanishkofa K'mo Shachar, B'Pirash Ramaz Shom, Beparshas Emer Dav Chof Dalad Omed Aleph, Yaakov Omar Oz Yiboka Kashachar Yachachulu V'ayma Shekos V'alzeb Divra Maschil Lovin Semechos. Okay, but anyway, so the pasuk says, how are we going to achieve the level of ponim beponim? How are we going to be by reflecting on this verse in Hosea? So what is the meaning of the verse of Hosea? Well, Pirush means she's going to first reflect like the dawn, the Amud HaShachar, that shines from the sign of the sun. When does dawn break, which means Shashemesh Hitachas Oretz, the sun is under the ground. Ubekeya umeir olov b'shachar. So the sun breaks through, and when dawn comes, it shines. Shehine chomer ha'oretz mafsik, the material of the earth interrupts between the sun and us. So that's why it breaks through. We don't see the sun, but the dawn, kashachar, the pasuk says there, kashachar, eirecha, that it breaks through like the kashachar nochin moitzoy. Likewise, the materialism of the body interrupts between the shining of the face that comes, the shining of the pnimis, the face that comes from the Einus Baruch Hanos. There's an interruption there, just like the earth interrupts and it breaks through. So there's interruption. So by this reflection, by that way he elicits great compassion. Yahaynu. He puts to his heart how far he is from the light of the Pnei Hashem. That he is like a cloud who darkens chulu. Mosach mavdil chulu. He's like a curtain that separates, etc. And therefore, because of that, Hashem nira. Hashem is like from a distance. That's what the pasuk says over there. Merachik Hashem nira. V'avoiki geshem lanu. That Hashem is like from a distance. So what? So now the pasuk says, "Vayovoi kageshem lanu." But the Abish of that pasuk says, "Vayovoi kageshem lanu." B'chinas mayim toirim brings us the pure waters. Chulu. V'shikosim bezeh b'divra maschil hazinu hashamayim kabeyarev motor likhi einsham. Our sages tell us that they didn't ask properly because they said in this pasuk geshem lanu, that he should come like rain. That's not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the Eibishter said no, not ki geshem. The Eibishter said Katali Yisrael, I'll be like Tal. Well, Inyan, what does this mean? Really, there is room to ask for compassion. Even if without an interruption between us and Hashem, Bubchinas Tal, that's the level of Du. Shekamu Bubchinas Rachman also comes in Rachman. That is even without, even if there's no interruption, we still, like the Tal always comes, we still have the compassion. And there's no clouds over there. It goes without clouds. The dew comes down, doesn't need a cloud. The only thing is that's at the night time when there's no sun. So likewise, so to speak, in Eksiv, Kishemesh Umogen Havayin Elikim. Shemesh Umogen Havayin Elikim, meaning that the Shem Elikim Umogen the Shem Havayin, that's a protection to Shem Havayin. Which goes with Mokamachar, the Ramaschil, Ba'atat Tzava, Chulu, the Pirush Mechutz La Pereiches. L'chein, outside of the good. L'chein, Shaykh Rachmonas Afil Alel Masal Yonim. For there can be compassion even of the higher worlds. Shegam Heim Rechoikim Pnei Havaya. They're too distant from Pnei Havaya. Why? Machmas Hashem Elikim Hu Mogim and Artek HaMaster Chudum. Because they're still blocked by the Shem Elikim. So Zehu, yeah, Zehu, yeah. In Yamidas Lailo, he's Talkus Hashem Shchulu. This is the measure of night, which means no Sunday. That's when the Shem Elikim is dominant. I'm as close with the Ramaschil, Yorim Yamushu, the Pirish, Menachem Abris. I'm as close past with Midbar Shem the Ramaschil by Daber, Chulu. So, the Inyan, the Mishpachoisom, the Beis Aveisom. Chulu. I'm as close with the Ramaschil, Ani Yishena, the Pirish, Sheroishi Nimla Toil, so when it comes to the nighttime, when there is dew, so we think that it's only kigeshem. When there is a cloud, when there is a rain, over there we have to ask Hashem. But the truth of the matter is, Yisrael, even when there is no Mosach, the Eibishter is still gonna come down the Rachamim, because the Tal also comes to Rachamim. So, Umol Habayel Kechas Levavcha. This is possible Levavcha. Kishnei Shemes Elu Habayel Kechad. Heim Hamoilim Bechinas Halivov, Liv Bechinas Levechad Chulu. They both are the one that circumcise the heart to be one heart to the Eibishter. It's a little bit shorthand. It doesn't go into Barichas over here in this Taichat over here, but okay, that's the Mamer, you know. Okay. So let's see here.